Well, I'm Johanna Gibbs and born here in Aiken in 1936 in the old wooden hospital.
Nice.
My family, of course, was here. My mother's family was here, and they all are Aikenites, born, raised here. My dad's family is Tom Gibbs. Their family, he was from Georgia. So then they moved to Augusta, so I had great access to my grandparents, except for my father's father. He died when my dad was a young boy, which was a blessing because I had lots of cousins and on both sides, which was lots of fun always. As far as growing up in Aiken, I had one brother, Tommy, deceased now, but we had lots of fun growing up. We spent some of our youth in Augusta when my dad changed jobs, and but World War II broke out. We came in to live with my grandparents on a farm, and the farm is actually where Aiken High School is today. That was my grandfather's cornfield and soybean field. He farmed all that area, and the came to live there. And my father was, of course, drafted as everybody else's dad, and he failed the exam because he had flat feet. So he chose to go in civil defense. So he was at Warner Robins. He was in charge of airplane parts and that type of thing. So we came to live with my grandparents here in Aiken. And my grandfather had, my grandmother had a dairy plus the farm, plus my grandfather owned and operated and started George Funeral Home. And so my mom came to help out with all of those projects that were ongoing, and particularly at the funeral home. During World War II, I had one uncle who was a Clemson graduate, and he was captured and at the fall of the Philippines. So he was a prisoner of the Japanese for almost 4 years, about almost 3.5 years.
Wow.
And that was quite, it was quite a family, I don't know how to explain it, just day by day, because they didn't know whether it's living, dead, or whatever. Alive or dead. But anyway, it turned out well that he was freed by the Red Cross, actually.
Wow.
Which when he came back to Aiken to be a part of the funeral home, he was a big advocate for the Red Cross. Oh, big time. Anyway, that was it. There, growing up, my brother and I were, of course, we romped all over the fields at the farm, and learned to drive tractors and ride horses and that type of thing. Of course, I guess the big event for the week was going to the movies at the Patricia and the Rosemary Theater, and you could see a double feature, cowboy movie, and then some other feature, and of course some cartoons, and riding your bike up there and just kick down the stand, leave your bike, going into the movie for 10 or 12 cents, and have a Coke and some popcorn. That was a highlight of the week almost, you know. Nothing much going on there except a wonderful, wonderful way to live. I mean, just happy, knowing that you were loved, knowing that if you stepped out of line, the rod was not spared. I mean, truly, you were punished if you. But anyway, none of that happened quite often. But sometimes, you know, kids get kind of feisty and big mouths, whatever. Outside of that, both of us remained here. My brother had his family here, and he raised his family here. And I went to University of South Carolina, graduated. Had no intention to come back here to teach, but somehow I ended up being asked about a position, and it's decided to come back. And it was the right thing for me to do, actually, to come back and teach, because I loved every minute of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my grandfather, having been born here, down into the Lesa area, which towards New Ellington, down in that way, and his great uncles, they invented a process to make tombstones. They were contractors, and big time contractors in Aiken. Had a lot to do with the Wilcox Hotel and big buildings around Aiken. I don't know about here, but around Aiken. And they came up with this formula to make these headstones. At that particular time, my grandfather, D.M. George, met George, was Demetrius Mayo by the time. Yeah. And so he worked for Powell Hardware, which was on Main Street in Aiken, about along where we have maybe next door to, along there by Malia's, and it's an antique store there, somewhere along in there, yeah. Mall. And so my grandfather worked there, and he was in charge of upstairs where they had the caskets and this type of thing, and he traveled some in South Carolina to sell and promote these markers for the graves and whatever. And so that's actually how he got into the funeral home business, was doing this particular thing, and opened the funeral home, and which was it's now on Park Avenue, but the first one was on Ritson Avenue, almost near the pool hall, the billiards place there. Mm-hmm. So there's a parking lot there now that has nothing except for parking. It was right there in an old home. Oh, wow. So the first George Funeral Home was right there, and it was the only one in town. So from there, and as my uncles were getting older, they of course became a part of the funeral home. Actually, I'm jumping around now. But that's okay. My mother was, she had 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and she was the second child, so first girl. My oldest uncle, Edward, he was in charge of the embalming part of the funeral home, and he was actually a funeral director as well as my grandfather. My grandfather had to leave his family, which consisted of just the one son and my grandmother at the time, to go to school to become a funeral director in Cincinnati. So which was a big deal back then, in the day. I think I'm trying to remember the date that he opened the funeral home. It was 100 years old. So right before COVID, I believe. I'd have to look that up. But anyway, getting off the funeral home, my mom and dad. My dad worked at for Clausen's Bakery in Augusta, which was a very famous bakery over there, similar to Colonial, and made bread and cakes and pastries and this and that. And back in the day, that was really a common thing. And my dad had the route from all the way through the valley into Aiken. And that's how he met my mom, was through the bread route that he had. So that's how they hooked up, so to speak. I'm going to jump around a few little places in Aiken that I kind of remember, I mentioned the 2 theaters, which were wonderful. That was a big part of our entertainment. We did later on, much later on, have a couple of skating rinks and a bowling alley, but that came much, much later. The theaters were they were not only a big entertainment for children, but for adults also. And particularly, the newsreels, because there was no TVs. So you listened to a little radio if you had it, and which sometimes was, just the news or maybe some music, and that's about it. So the newsreels that were on the movie set were very helpful to a lot of people. I do remember that when at the Battalion Death March, everybody thought that they had seen my uncle in that, because they showed a lot of newsreels about that. Now, I don't know how they got all these newsreels from that. Okay, I always wondered about that. And so Mr. Ram, who owned the theaters, opened the theaters so my grandparents could go in and see if they actually thought that this was my uncle. And of course, the quality of it was, you really couldn't say, but such a nice gesture.
Of course.
They come to find out that I found out much later he was not on the Battalion Death March. That happened long before he was even captured from the Philippines. But anyway, everybody in Aiken knew everybody, and as a child, you really couldn't get into much trouble because before you got home, it would already have been announced that you made some mistake that you had to take back. But everybody was friendly. Everybody visited. We had family here. My grandmother had 5 sisters and 3 brothers. And they were German descent. And they lived, a lot of them lived here in Aiken. And they were very community oriented. Some of her brothers served on the council and different things in the community. They came here, some when they came over from parts of Germany, somewhere near Hamburg, and they came over, the great-grandparents, and they met on the boat. The great-grandma and great-grandma met on the boat, and so when they came, they some settled in Charleston, some settled in Pennsylvania, some settled, and I'm not real quite sure. We never didn't think of it until I was an adult to ask how they got down to Aiken, but they did, and several of them were here in Aiken, and thank goodness, because they did contribute a lot to the community. The old Aiken High School was located on Lawrence Street, where the Trinity Lutheran Home is now. And that was opened, I believe, in '36, same year I was born. And my uncles and my aunts and everybody else went to that school. That previously they had gone to Aiken Elementary, which is now, the library.
Yes.
So when at the influx of this, when people started just, I'm gonna say, piling in to Aiken, there was no place to live. No place to live at all. You could rent this room truly if it were available to 6 men, we'll say, who were working construction, and they would think they died and gone to heaven because there's just no place to go. Families came. A lot of it was in construction, but a lot of folks came from Tennessee here who had previously worked at one of the sites there.
Okay.
And moved here, and more in management type and that thing. So as a result of that, very quickly, the Crosland Park area on Highway 1, North York Street, was quickly popped up. I mean, truly. We think today, we look around and we ride by 40, 30 acres of land, and the next day we go by and there's houses there, even today. Well, that's almost like it was there, except today it seems like all the pieces of the house come shipped to, out there. It was, you know, the 2x4s and you build your own house. But that cropped up, and a lot of management people were there, housed there. I suspect it was there's probably a record on this, probably 500 of those houses out there, I'm not sure. And as far as the school was concerned, we had just an influx to the high school, middle schools, whatever. Middle schools went on 2 shifts, morning and afternoon. High school did not. We were able to accommodate by using the balcony of the auditorium, the stage,
everywhere.
You know, everywhere. Yeah, no matter where you had your class, that was it. We did have. They hired a lot of teachers that had just graduated from colleges in the state, which was a lot of those ladies married men here and who are here today, which was kind of interesting. So the school board knew right away that we've got to do something. So they approached my grandfather, oddly enough, about buying some land where the high school is now. And so his cornfield and his soybean field turned out to be the Aiken High School. He sold them 60 acres of land there, and they built the high school. They put it up almost in a record time. Probably could confirm this, but I would say at the most 2 years, probably even less than that.
Wow.
And at this particular time, I was, of course, at Aiken High, and like most of the kids around here, that's the only school you went to. There was a St. Angela Academy, which now is St. Mary's, but that finally closed, run by the sisters and whatever, Catholic diocese. The school opened, Aiken High School, the new school opened in April of 54.
Okay.
And that was my first class, the first class to graduate there. And I was in that particular class, which is kind of unique since my grandfather sold the property, and I was the first to graduate there.
And that was the high school that you ended up working at, correct?
Pardon me?
That was the school that you ended up working at?
I ended up working, right, right, coming back. So that eased a lot of the crowded areas. The high school turned into a middle school or a junior high, as we say back then. And so that solved a lot of the problems. And in the meanwhile, we were able to construct some elementary schools, some kind of a temporary type school. Particularly, it's actually down where the Tridelt Development Center is now. Those 10 buildings down. That was a school.
Wow.
That was a school. The football field was where Helping Hands is today. Let's see, the school. I don't remember exactly how many I had 113 in my graduating class, and I would say that probably as much as 50% or more of those were people whose parents came here with the plant.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us, of course, were natives. Nice folks. I think it was a wonderful situation. Everybody in Aiken was not happy that the plant was coming. They did not like that. Excuse me. They didn't like the idea that the bomb plant was coming to Aiken. They didn't really realize, and I was probably one of them, I'm sure I was, didn't realize what was taking place there. And of course, everything was so secret.
Yes.
They didn't talk about what was going on there. But I think it was the best thing in the world that could happen to Aiken, to get some new faces and some new thoughts and some new progressive ideas and whatever. I mean, it kind of gave us a shot in the arm kind of waked us up, kind of give us a little lift. Nice. Some of the folks that graduated with me and that came here with the plant are still my friends. Yeah, we still communicate and get together because my mom and my uncles I mentioned they had a dairy, and my grandmother kind of was in charge of the dairy as far as billing and making sure that this person got what they had ordered and whatever. And a lot of their customers were the northern people, lots of them. I mean, like here, they may take 6, 8, 10 quarts of milk a day or every other day, and they won't. And we're talking about raw milk. We're talking about a quart of milk, half cream and half milk, back then, no much. And so Mom said that before she and her 2 brothers went to school, they delivered milk every morning around Aiken. They got up early to deliver milk. They milked the cows, but they stored the milk, of course. And back then there was not a lot of refrigeration, so it was the iceman came daily.
Oh yeah.
And bought tremendous amounts of ice in this big chest that was half as big as this room. I think it seemed like that to me anyway. They delivered the milk. And one of my uncles, who was quite a card, he said that he always made friends with the cooks. So when he would go to their house to deliver the milk, they would always have little goodies ready for him, And he thought that was wonderful, hot, maybe cookies or some cupcakes or something, he loved that. The winter colony was. Like I said, they were a big part of that business. I do remember when they would a lot of them would come by train, and I do remember when watching them come to where the train museum is now in that particular area down there. Some would come in private cars, some of the more wealthy ones, I think, and they would come and unload all their stuff and. The cabs would be there, and the cabs were just lined up. And I don't mean the yellow cabs. I mean some gentlemen who had they seemed to always be black. I don't know why, like the funeral cars or something. And most of these gentlemen were black African Americans who drove the cabs around here, and so very helpful with the white folk, with the northern people come in, they load their stuff and whatever. Did not really intermingle with these folks much. Some of them did have maybe nieces, nephews, or maybe even a grandchild that would go to Aiken High for a while. I do know 2 occasions that they were connected with the northern folks and were in my class. But all the businesses in town relied on the northern trade. I mean, that's just the fact. The butcher shops, for instance, one of my grandmother's brothers were butchers, and they always, you always stocked up for this particular finest steaks and the finest chickens and the finest whatever, the lamb or whatever, that. And so did the grocery stores. And we had some really nice grocery stores in Aiken. Anyway, they relied very heavily on the northern folk. But, as time went by and this first generation of folks who gave up this house or gave up several around this area that we're sitting in, the younger generation just did not choose to come here that much. And so, the northern trade or the northern colony just sort of, and as it did, some local folks would perhaps purchase one of these homes later, Some of the folks that came with the plant, were able to purchase some of the bigger homes. The winter colony, I think they had their own. They didn't mingle so much with the people in Aiken. You had the Green Boundary, which was their little thing. You had the Fermata Club, which was one time a school for girls, Fermata School for girls. They mostly mingled within themselves.
Yeah.
But they were big partiers, they really were. Rye Patch, what was that? It's Goodyear. But that's the people we're talking about, Goodyears.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I'm not saying that they were not friendly. I'm just saying they didn't mingle too much with Aiken. Yeah, they just in their own circle of friends, a different type of society than we experienced here.
Yeah. Would you say that it was kind of an event when they would come in on trains?
Huge event. I mean, yes, everybody would sort of gather to see who they could see, and you never knew who you could see. Yes, it was a big event. It truly was. And it was it was like showtime, because the train came with the special cars and unload all this stuff. And it was very special, very special. Well, I knew before I graduated from Aiken High School, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to teach. And I knew I wanted to be a physical education teacher. And I knew I wanted to coach. I knew that. My dad wanted me to go in the medical area, but I just stuck with my guns.
Yeah.
And after graduating from the university, I had no intention of really coming back here to teach. At that particular time in 58, people were going to Florida to teach because that was where all the money was. That was all the money was back then. But I ran into superintendent one day in the post office, and I had known his family and known his son, daughter, whatever, and he just said, well, what are you planning to do now? I understand you graduated. I said, well, I'm planning to go, I think I'm going to Florida to teach. I had an offer. And he said, well, why are you going to Florida? He said, we need good teachers here. And I said, well, he said, you can come by my office on Monday. So I thought, oh my goodness. So I did. And he said, we got a perfect opening for you over at the Aiken Junior High School, which is Trinity. And he said, I just got the perfect position. I need a PE teacher there. And I thought, oh my goodness. I said, can I think about it till tomorrow? He said, do you want a job? I thought, well, gee whiz, I'm going to make a decision right here. I said, yes, I want a job. So, I mean, that's how it turned out. No idea that I was coming back. But it was a good move for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. Ended up teaching some of the people I'd gone to school with. Ended up teaching their children, and it was really good. So, stayed at Aiken Junior High for about 4 years. And opening, my coach, who was at Aiken High School, she was retiring, and so I had an opportunity to move to the high school, which I did, and then the rest of it just kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
And then getting to the 70s, 76, I had an opportunity to go to the university, and I had known the men's coach over there for quite some time because they didn't have a facility, they didn't have a gym. So they used the gym at Aiken High School. So I would have my practice, the guys would have their practice, and then the university would come and have their practice. So I kind of got to know him there and his wife and family. And so he approached me one day and he said, we're going to start a women's program. Well, Title IX was buckling in, you know, they were steaming out there. Everybody, oh, women. And so he said, we're going to hire a women's coach. He said, would you be interested? And I said, sure, I would be interested. And as it turned out, I ended there. He ended up there and started a women's program for them over there, which was at first quite a challenge because there was no facility, there was no players.
Yeah.
So I'm walking the campus and I'm looking for oh you tall. Let me see. Can you walk? Let me see. Can you chew gum? But really and truly, what happened was it was kind of unique. Some of my players that I had prior to were at other places, and when I went over there, they transferred.
Oh, fantastic!
They transferred, and some of the players that I had known, let's say Graniteville, and known the coach down there for years, they came from Jackson. I had picked up a couple from Jackson. Just all around, the kids came, which helped me with the recruiting.
Of course.
Right at first, which was kind of funny because here are people who had competed against each other, year after year after year. Now I'm asking them to merge here and be one team here. But what they were was wonderful. It was wonderful. And it just, then they wanted to add volleyball, which I had coached at Aiken High also. So I'm coaching volleyball, I'm coaching basketball, and I'm also part of the faculty because we had started offering a major in physical education.
Okay.
So I was involved in that. So it was getting, go practice this one at 2 o'clock and practice this one at 4 o'clock. And I kept saying, I got to have some help. I got to have help here. I mean, I was relying on kids to help me, and support me. And we're gonna get you some help. We're gonna get you some help. But after about 5 years, nothing happened, and I said, hey, you can't do this anymore. This is just trying to recruit and coaching. And I said, I got it. One day I said, I just can't do this anymore. Got to do something else. So I went back to public school. I went to see the Aiken County Superintendent, and I said, I really need to get back to public school. I'm retiring from coaching. And he said, well, let me see what we can offer. Let me see what we got. And so this was before we had HR and all this kind of stuff. You just went to the horse and you asked for it. And so anyway, we're opening Silver Bluff High School in that time, 88, I believe? Yeah. No, 86.
There you go.
And so he said, I said, well, I have a degree in counseling and I have a degree in administration. I said, I really would love counseling. He said, don't have any counseling positions, but you can go to Silver Bluff and be the assistant principal out there. I thought, oh dear. Okay. I said, that'll be fine. So, of course, when you're assistant to anything, you get everything that the principal doesn't want. Like the behavior, all those things. You're going to take care of all this. You're going to take care of the buses. You're going to take care of this, that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a wonderful experience. It really was. I loved that school. The kids were wonderful. We had kids come from North Augusta, part of North Augusta, part of all of Jackson, all of Beach Island, some from New England. Now we're getting all these schools who had been bitterly opposed and at each other's throat for all these years. Now we're asking them to come forward and to be united as a team. And they did. They were so proud of the new school and the way it looked and the faculty that we had from each area. The faculty came. it was a wonderful experience opening that school. It truly was. And then I think, and a lot of people will disagree with me, the thing that really united it was a football team. All those guys, they gelled.
Yeah.
And they had a super year. And the kids got behind that.
Yeah.
It was exciting. It was a new feeling to be a winner consistently. When you win, I think they were undefeated actually, if I recall. It really made a difference. It just kind of brought me in. One thing that I do remember that stood out in my mind and still does today, they said we had carpet, similar to this, all over the hall, all over school. And they said the principal said that we'll have no gum chewing. And I thought, and how are we going to enforce that? Do you know, we had a great janitor. He was everywhere. He would always give me a report if he found any gum, in the carpet, had to dig it out or whatever. And it was almost non-existent.
Really?
They were just so proud of having that school, and I think the faculty they gelled too. And that made all the difference in the world. They were good. They were great, professional. They cared about the kids. They got to know the kids. It was great. It really was. So I stayed there till I retired. So I never regret coming back to Aiken. Never.
Yeah.
I mean, really and truly, it's a wonderful community. Sure, we're not perfect, but now we're gonna fuss about who's gonna build a hotel, who's not gonna build. But all in all, it's just a wonderful place to live. There's a lot of opportunities if you want to take advantage of it. In 1963, we were undefeated.
Fantastic.
There was no recognition for girls' athletics other than, okay, you won all your games. That's okay. See you next season. No, state playoff, no nothing. That went on until 1971 was the first time they had a state playoff for girls.
Okay.
And we went that year. All in between, we just kind of, did our thing. In 71, we went to the state playoffs. We played it in Columbia. We did not win that game, but we were there first time. And then in 73, 74, and 75, we went 73, we didn't win. 74, we didn't win. 75, we finally won.
Fantastic.
But it was just it was quite an experience. But in the meantime, we had back in the 70s, we started all the women coaches in the state, most of them. We were trying, men had their football committees and this and that and whatever, and their organizations, and which benefited, the kids and them too. They exchanged ideas, had clinics, this, that, that. There was nothing like that for women. So we started our own. We asked to join the men's basketball group, and they kind of turned up their noses at that. So we started our own committee. We started our own programs. We started our own. It was a Coaches Association of Women's Sports, what we organized. So we had our own clinics. We had our own superlatives for our athletes. We had all-star games that we sponsored. We raised the money and we sponsored them. We'd go and I was at USCA the next year, so I was allowed to have them there. I taught my AD into let us having them there. Then went around town begging everybody, would you give them a meal? Would you feed them on Sunday? Would you feed them on Saturday? Would you? and this type thing. And it still exists today, and it's become quite an organization. And of course, at that time, there were only women, basically women coaching it. But now we have men too who are coaching women, which I still like women coaching women, but that's neither here nor there. That's not up to me. But it's still functioning today, which has been really been an asset to a lot of kids because they sometimes a scholarship will come from this or something of that nature. So they've expanded it now. They got they've got for golf. They got it for tennis. They've got it for softball. I mean, it's just wonderful. And we were all fighting then for Title IX, of course. We needed everything. We just back in the in 63, 4, 5, along in there, I was coaching my team on half court. That's how we practiced because the men's JV had to have the other half court. So, I mean, we were playing half court basketball then. Okay, women were. We didn't change that until 70. I think we started around 70. Around 70, we started playing the five. We played a rover game. We let two people come across the center line. I mean, that was the craziest. But anyway, finally in 72, we had the 5-person game. But, doing and accomplishing what the girls accomplished on just half court, it just made a difference. But, when I look at it, it was all great. The kids had fun. They learned a lot. And when we had our reunion back in February, they came. They were happy. They was happy to see each other. They were just so appreciative. I don't know how many of them said they were so appreciative what basketball had meant to them, and being on a part of a team had meant to them in their lives. And you think, well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what it's all about. Not winning or losing, but this meant something to me. And I've carried it over into my life. And some of them were coaching. I think it was 8 of them that were coaching.
Oh wow!
So it was just wonderful. We had a great time. Great time. We sure did. Just off from where the new Aiken High School is today, there's a football stadium, and across the Teague Street Avenue there's a field there.
Yeah.
That's part of it is the part of the nursing home there. All that was vacant back then, and there was a POW camp there for Germans.
Yeah.
And you probably remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I've heard of the camp, not necessarily.
Yeah, it was there. It was located there, and why it ended up being in Aiken, nobody's ever told me.
Yeah.
But the farmers could hire the German guys to come work on the farm, and they would bring. Some were interpreters. They could bring one, I guess, higher rank to kind of watch over them as they. And my grandfather would hire some of them every now and then to maybe pull corn or to do whatever. And my grandmother was raised they were Germans.
Yeah.
And she was raised in a German. Grandmother wanted them to speak German at home, not English. But anyway, grandmother became. There were 2 interpreters that did speak broken English, but German was pretty good. And she kind of would chat back and forth with them, and was allowed to have them come. The house that they lived in had, like a lot of houses back then, older houses, had huge back porches, all screened in. There was no air conditioning, of course. So you opened all the windows and doors so the breeze would come from that breezed-in porch. And in the summer, quite often, we would have our food out there on that porch, our meals. And at times, grandmother was allowed to have a couple of them to come and have a meal there, and that was quite an experience too as a child, having, but I never thought about, well, they're the enemy. You know, you didn't do that. I mean, they were just like everybody else. They, you know, like, oh, they're over there killing Americans. That never entered my mind. It was just, oh, these are nice folks. They were, when I was a kid, and they were, or young, well, not early, 12, so whatever, 13 or something like that. And they were, you know, very kind to us, me and my brother. And in fact, we would saddle up a horse and go up there to the POW camp and sit around and talk to them over the fence and all that. Nice folks.
Good
nice folks. And being childlike, you know, a couple of times I would say, "Do you want to stay in Aiken?" You know, and a couple of them would say, yes, you know, yes. Well, I thought, you probably do, because, you know, wherever you came from might be shallow. I mean, just shambles, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how they ended up, you know, breaking that camp down and having them shipped off somewhere. I never knew why they were here, really. One, and it's a little thing in there you might want to look. There was going back to the influx of people from SR, Savannah River site. The government came and brought these trailers in, like they did for Katrina, and, you know, these just, I don't know, just quickie trailers, I guess you call them. And off of Pound Road, further down from Millbrook Church, actually probably half a mile from Millbrook Church, going toward, going
south towards the
well,
side.
no, you'll be going east, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, going east. All right, there was just fields, and they brought all these trailers in. And I was just kind of looking through that thing last night, and there were 1,200. 1,200 little parcels of trailers there, and they had it. You lived on Avenue A, Avenue B, Avenue C, Avenue, and they were all just alike. They were all white, and the water, that area had I'm sure a very low water table, because when it would rain, that place would just flood.
Oh wow!
And now it's called Trailwood Avenue and Trailwood Forest or something like that. And there's a pond there. And I'm thinking, well, no wonder. I mean, it's a pond, and all these trailers were here. But I had a lot of classmates that lived there, and some of them had 4 or 5 children that wow. You know, they bunked in this trailer. But it was like a revolving door, though, because some people would be at my school for maybe a month, and then they would be gone.
Wow.
You know, that type. And we lost a lot of teachers like that, because maybe the husband was following the construction crew and whatever. And I do remember I had 3 chemistry teachers in 1 year.
Wow.
I knew nothing about chemistry when I went to college. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But anyway, I would trade the opportunity for growing up here. I mean, I'm sure other places were wonderful, but the way we grew up, we didn't have a lot of, we weren't rich, but we didn't know we weren't rich.
Yeah.
We had everything that we needed. We had everything, basically, probably everything we asked for, really, if we wanted to get right down to it. But I see some kids today who spend all their time with the electronic stuff, and I'm thinking, wonder where this is going to lead down the line, because, I mean, I guess it's going to work out just like it did for us, but we didn't have time for all that. I mean, it didn't exist, of course, but we were out, you know, doing stuff outside and participating in sports, just whatever we could, you know, could get into, really. But I feel like that they are missing out, even though all this technology is wonderful. I feel like they might be missing out on a few little things that they could explore a little bit more. But I don't know. I'm sure families would. I do know this, that if you go to a restaurant, and and we didn't go a lot because, well, first of all, there wasn't that many. Second of all, it was an it was an experience, and you were you sat down, you ordered your meal, and you sat there. You didn't run all over the restaurant. You didn't sit there and make noises, and you didn't sit there and act out of the ordinary. You knew better than to do that. But you see a lot of that now. You probably gonna cut this out, but that's okay. But it kind of bothers me to see that they're gonna go through life not having some point that you need to be responsible for. At this time, you need to be a little more responsible for your behavior. Maybe when you go eat, you see a lot. The mother, father come, the kids are there. Everybody's got an electronic device. There's not much conversation.
Yeah.
But if you were get the devices away and maybe have a conversation with the kids while you're waiting for the food or ordering the food. I don't know. I didn't have
They'd be
any
more
food.
engaged.
I just got nephews and and nieces, but anyway, like I said before, to recoup, I just love growing up in Aiken, and my brother and I don't think we missed a lot because our family, we knew they loved us, our grandparents loved us, and you knew better than to disrespect him or my grandmother because they were older folks, and you were taught to respect your great aunts and uncles and whatever. But you had more contact with them too.
Yeah.
Now that they're all over. Your grandma might live in Louisiana, and another person might live in New York. So you don't get to see them that much, and that makes a difference too. But when you're in the little community here, we got to see them, so they were just part of our,
daily life.
yeah, daily. That's it, part of our daily life. Yeah, my great aunt lived just from here to the Wilcox from us, so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.